Hi everyone, this is Wes Hewitt. Hope you're all doing fine, staying well. This is the second to the last tutorial I'm going to do on SysML diagrams, and we're going to be talking about the state machine diagrams. And so here's the agenda. We're going to explain a little bit about the diagrams in relation to SysML. How to build them in Cameo, and the final thing is there's going to be a link to an advanced executable state diagram tutorial on YouTube, which is really good, but it's a lot more complicated than I want to go through in my tutorial, so I'll let you look at that one if you want to do it, but that's not required. So we're going to be doing a simple state machine. So the simple state machine diagram is not required until the final, just like the parametric diagram. Okay, so we've got a couple more weeks. And here's the state machine in the hierarchy of SysML diagrams. It's one of the last of the dynamic ones that we're going to talk about. And so here's the purpose of a SysML, of the state machine here, is it's similar to an activity diagram, except it's kind of like opposite, except because you're describing the states in between are the activities. Okay, so expresses the system and its various key states that it goes through. A lot of this is derived from your requirements and your design, your architecture too. So the focus here is on the system structure, changes of state in response to event occurrences over time. Okay, so here's the syntax basically for a state machine diagram. You've got a frame in SysML always. STM is always the first in the frame. You always want to make sure you show the frame when you're submitting your homework, because that's a part of the SysML requirements. Okay, and then there's a block name of what the state machine is created from, and this is the type, and then this is the diagram name. Okay, so you always want to show the whole thing. So the simple icon here for the given state is this rounded edged oval box, and you also can create add entry and these 3 or 4, I think there might be actually 3 of these of conditions upon entry, or what it does during, what activity, and notice it all relates to activities, and also exit activity. You can also then this other key part is this transition, this line, okay, which connects the states. And this is where you might have the trigger or the guard of the activity that causes the thing to change the state. Okay, and lastly, from a high level, is we're going to just talk a little bit about composite states, where a given state may have substates. Okay, so here's the basic process flow. Here, so the goal here is to analyze. That's the function. Analyze your system states, and your output is the state machine and diagram. Okay. Here's the major inputs. Could be use cases, your ODT, your operational description template, any information on your system and subsystems. Your modeling tool enables here, and then your structure here, your information that helps you guide you is the formatting of SysML and maybe some system design that you've been given. So, okay, so this is from lecture 15, what Dave discussed about an example of a high-level state diagram. Okay, and you notice that each one of these has text on the line of what's triggering or what is causing the state of change. So we're going to also capture this in our diagram. So, and we're going to take a look at now the example of the toy catapult, which was also used in class. And here's your ODT, the simple one showing the operator and the system and the projectile, where the requirements are in here. So we're going to look at the more detailed one here, which shows your subsystems in here, and this is what we want to. I'm going to show you the example of creating a SysML state diagram. So, and this is the goal here, is these states that you capture over here, okay, are the things that we want to model and what things are causing them to change states, okay. So you notice there's three groups here of different subsystems, okay. The overall catapult, the containment subsystem, and here's the locking and trigger system. So these are actually kind of two combined. Here's an example of maybe two basic states with using this containment here for the substates. Okay, you notice here it goes to the edge. Okay, it can go to a specific state. When it goes to the edge here, it's using this start point, and you notice here at the off it goes to a termination, which means the system is destroyed or shut down. Okay, so that's an example of the composite. We're not going to. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but if you want, you can do that, and you can drag and drop these substates in there. Okay, so the state transition diagram here. Again, here's another more of a flow showing the different actions. Okay, and this is something we're kind of look at. So here's my version of that, is where in Cameo we're going to create basically a similar type of flow here. So let's see. So this is the goal here is for us to create for your project is to create this simple state machine diagram for your project. Okay, so I'm going to stop this here, and I'm going to show you here the in Cameo what I want to create. So okay, so to create a basic state diagram from either here, from this block of the toy, or you also can right click on the toy over here. You're going to create a new diagram. So you just go to diagrams, and you're going to create a state machine diagram. Okay, and that's going to create the basic diagram here with a start and your first. So your first, let's say, is going to be that the system is stable. Okay, and the next thing is obviously if it might become unstable. So we'll come over here and say unstable, and so if it goes from stable to unstable, let's say that is energy into the system is going to make it unstable. Okay, and then click on this again, and we're going to go back to here, and at some point it's going to after it releases an object, projectile, it's going to become stable again. So there's a simple process here, and then at some point you're going to cease fire, let's say. Grab that here, and let's see, that is in trouble with my. Okay, so that'll be the end of it. Okay, so what happens in between here? So another thing that's going to happen, and I'm going to continue off this from unstable, is it's going to, once it's getting energy in, it's going to lock, or becomes locked. Okay, and that will happen when the maximum energy is set. Okay, so here's the locked state, and then the other option here is it's going to become unlocked at some point. And once the trigger is set, it's going to become locked again. Okay. Okay, so after it's locked, it's going to get a release command of some kind. And so and this is when you fire projectile. Okay, and when the energy is released, it's going to go back to being stable. Okay, we won't worry about that, but mostly it nicely does a little jump for you. Okay, once you do this here, you can reorganize it by using this button here that does a nice job of kind of doing it. Okay, so that's one group of actions. So let's do the load unload. So I'm going to come over and create another state, let's say down here. And this is the loaded state. And it's going to go from loaded to unloaded. Okay, loaded to unloaded by doing a release. Okay, and then it's going to go back. So what's going to cause it to go back is it's going to get loaded. Okay, I can move these lines over a little bit here. Okay, so there's those two states, and the last states here are armed and unarmed. Okay, so armed and unarmed. Okay, and those are going to go back and forth. So when we go from armed to unarmed and back, so this is oops, from armed to unarmed, this is going to be the release. Okay, so this is cocked arm. So cocked arm arms it, and this is the release. Okay, again, you can use this set, and that'll do it. And if you want to zoom in a little bit, you can always come into here, down here at the bottom, and that'll zoom it up a little bit. Okay. Okay, so that's basically the basic states that you want to address for your system. You don't have to be any more elaborate than this. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so the last thing I wanted to mention here was that, go back here, is check out this advanced tutorial on executable state machines. It's very interesting. It's all using Cameo, and you can add a lot more detail if you want to. But the other is the bare bones that you really need to do for your homework at this point. Okay, so that's all I have. Good luck, and I'll be doing a parametric diagram here shortly, so in a day or so. Okay, thank you.